What is going on, peeps? It is the former president of the Fat Guy Alliance, the current CEO of Urban Franchise Entertainment. Your hero, your role model, the person you want to be like when you grow up. Tony, the Urban Franchise, Tony, Montana. And peeps, yes, you, after that intro, you know what this is. This is the long overdue, the long anticipated, no, I've seen the comments, the long wanted return of Throwback Stories. Now, we did Throwback Stories and reenacted, and a few side ones. So this is season 3, episode 1 of Throwback Stories. We're gonna do some of the reenacted ones because now we have a few females on the brand, so we can kind of reenact some of those. But I'm gonna actually start off right now, peeps, with one of what could be one of the scariest moments of my life, if you will. Now, I had been in much scarier moments. If you guys remember the second episode in the original season, where I literally had someone pointing a knife and then putting a knife to me and then showing me a gun and me being whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this is another serial story where it's like, there's so much to this, because there's like, those like old like black films, like young guys coming of age, all a group of friends, all in the hood, and they're just friends for whatever reason why that group came together. But then it separates, like Juice could be one of the examples, how they were all friends, and one of them, Bishop, turned on everyone, right? It was very much like that. It's actually a story that I will not fully tell everything from, because it's actually something I could make into a series. But there was a lot of moments in it that I'm going to throw into Throwback Stories. So when I do release this series, you guys are kind of getting previews of things that actually did happen. And this is at a point where a lot of people who know me, I refer to it as the pool hall era. The pool hall was gone. Like, this is like after that summer. The pool hall was essentially just a summer, but it was a big growing point in my life from you guys who remember the original channel. So this is where we're all separated, but we all end up together somehow. Those moments where we'd all link up and be at certain places. Now, this is a point where we didn't have anywhere to chill, and certain people from the pool hall found places to chill and I guess to live under. I don't even want to get into it. Save it for when I do that show or that series. It might be a very mature animation. But the thing is, there's a spot everyone chilled, and at that time I was in a very toxic situation. Oh, my throat is dry. I know you guys back in the Throwback Story days, it was always beer, but I go to the gym now, so I'm forced to be low carb. I'm not going to show you guys what it is, but I am drinking like vodka coolers, the 0 carb versions. So this is past this point. People from the pool hall some are not even in the city anymore, some are in other places. And there's the key thing about the pool hall was a block, if you will. That's in the description when I say the pool hall. I won't say the specifics of it until they're mentioned in certain points of the story. But there's 3 people who weren't from the pool hall. There's me, obviously, the main character. You always need a main character. There was my cohort who, I guess you could say my second, he wasn't a sidekick, a wannabe sidekick at the time. Friend, someone else who lived on the other side of my street. Then there was someone else who, if you know where I live, there's a block called Mornell. He was there. I'll tell you the area where the pool hall was. It was on Eglinton, between Brimley and Eglinton and McCowan. No, between McCowan and Eglinton and McCowan and Danforth, or McCowan and Barbados Road there. It's where the Indian Theater was. It's where that Scarborough Club Legacy was. There's a pool hall called Underground Billiards. That was the pool hall, the plaza that we chilled at. And we were from that block. And the thing is it's like me and those two cats, it was made very clear to me that these two cats weren't like me at all. Despite the fact, I'm going to point out one thing to you guys. Whilst there, I did not have the use of my right arm. As I mentioned in some videos before, you see the scar. Something happened to me, and then I had a surgery, and my arm was like that. I'm right-handed. I talk about being a journeyman. I had my hood days. I went through everything. One of the most dangerous eras of my life, which I guess you could say was the hood era, one of them at least, was when I had no use of my right arm. So this is a point where, although in most scenarios where I come off as a badass, this is one where I had to use my mind. I had to be more cerebral. I could not be the strong, tough guy because I just had my left arm and I barely knew how to use it. I literally only know how to use my left arm so perfect. I could literally pick up a can and drink it. I literally couldn't back then. And in this area, I remember outside of that pool hall being the moment where my arm went from that, but me being to the point where I could like pick up a rock and kind of fling my arm like that and throw a rock, happened in front of that pool hall. And then when it happened, I kept throwing the rocks. Everyone was like, what? Why is he acting like that? And then someone called the professor, was like, well, obviously he lost the use of his limb. Finally being able to do something, anyone would overdo it right away. And it was amazing that I went from being told I would never be using my arm, and instead of doing something productive like going and doing physio and therapy, I decided to go be hood. And that's where it all came back. But let's get back to the story I had. So, me and one of those two friends, the one who lived by Mornell, where he lived at Mornell, and this actual incident actually happened in the building beside his building. Or is it the same one? I think it was the same building as him, but a different floor. I just thought people hung out. I won't get into the details why they chilled there, but I'm going there, and I was in a toxic relationship with a female. Wasn't really a relationship. I was a really toxic relationship where I was just being taken advantage of, and too dumb to realize it. So I'm called there by the friend who lives in that area. Let's call him. What should we call him? Let's call him Kev. So I'm going there, and Kev tells me to come out there. And I was like, okay. Now, we have another friend from the pool hall. Now, the pool hall is on Eglinton. This friend's never here. He's like literally never there. Ain't even his vibe to be at this block. This dude, though, what not anyone knows, grew up from my block. Like, we knew each other as kids. We were friends when we were kids. Somehow he's there when I go to meet Kev. We'll call this guy G. So we see G, and I'm shocked that G's there. And he's telling us to come there. I was like, wait, why are we going there? And then G was just like, let's go. Just trust me. And then Kev is like, yeah, let's go. There's someone I don't want to run into that we're going to just call, we're going to call him Jay. I don't want to run into Jay at all, because Jay is the one who actually is living with the girl that I have the toxic relationship with, and I'm just too blind to see what they are, blah, blah, blah. I was informed that Jay was not there, but Jay's there. Jay is there. And I'm just like, no, I'm out. And now, G was kind of going to let me go. But then Kevin's like, no, just come on. Don't worry, blah, blah, blah. I'll get you beer. I'll get you weed. Now, some shit's about to go down in this apartment and more now. Now, what happens to I'll tell you what Kev was under the impression was going to happen. He thought I was going to get dragged up and railed up and beat up and interrogated. This did not happen. He was convinced of this. This is someone who I thought he was my friend. Simple fact, all these guys are from one block, and I'm just like, me and you and the other dude are the outsiders. We should be sticking to, no, this ain't how these niggas roll. So he thinks that's gonna happen, and I think he's getting clout by doing this. Now I'm gonna tell you guys what actually happened. So reluctantly, and I'm just like, I'm about to leave, and then G's like, don't worry, just come. So we go there, then we see this other guy, Jay, when we get in the apartment. He's freaking out. Now, the toxic woman that I'm in, she calls me to the bedroom. Well, all this is about to go down. Ironically, I'm guessing G kind of informed her that I'm going to be untouched, and she asks me for a cigarette, and just like, and then this J guy gets all pissed off. He's like, what the fuck are you calling him for? Do you know what's about to happen? He's going all crazy. He thinks he's going to finally get his whatever on me. And we go to the balcony. Once we get to the balcony, and it's interesting because this entire time, Kev is smiling. He's like got the biggest smile in the world on his face. He's laughing. We get to the balcony. It's like the three of them are on one side. I'm here. I light a cigarette. G immediately grabs Kev, throws him halfway over the fucking balcony. Was it the balcony? That's not the word. Yeah, the balcony. He's hanging off the building. We're like on the 9th floor or something, 9th or 10th floor, I can't remember. And he has him hanging there. He starts calling him out on some shit that he was saying. And like, the thing is, it's like, I'm just standing there and I'm just like this. And the guy, Jay's like, yeah. Which is your turn, Tony. Which is your turn. But I never had a turn. No one laid a fucking finger on me. I'm the main fucking character. What do you expect? But dead ass, no one laid a finger on me. So we go from there. He's being loud. They're having a yellow match. It's kind of a wrestle back and forth. And it's like there's a moment while they're wrestling, Kev's looking at me to help him. I'm like, nigga, you thought it was me. And it's like one thing I left out that I'm leaving to say here at this point is as we're walking up, G told me, Kev ain't your friend. And he told me about that about certain people. Like, simple fact, he was like the big dog out of all these guys. All of these guys, he was the big dog. Me and him, he were childhood friends. So he would warn me when it needed to be done at times. I distinctly remember as kids, there was just like the higher thing. Like, he was the one who always used to come and push me on that, and we would always like push each other because you could do different ones where you could spin around. It's a whole thing. You know the tire swing that used to be in parks back in the 90s or 80s? Probably 80s. Late 90s, early 90s, late 80s. But yeah. And he was saying that as we're going up. He was telling me that Kev wasn't my friend. And when I saw what happened, G fully says, you thought it was Tony. It's all you. It's been you. Tony's just here to confirm what you said. And after this, like, confirmation, just like when he said that at that point, it's just like, okay, well, fuck this nigga. I ain't helping him. Like, you essentially are setting me up. And it's just like, G ran the things. When Jay heard what G said, he followed. Jay was a good shoulder. Like, on the level, despite the beef between me and Jay over that toxic bitch, Jay's actually, me and him are cool. We're boys now. He was actually in a video before on the old channel. We legit, like, it was just, and even before her, we were good homies. He was always a loyal soldier. Just, you know how the things when a toxic bitch gets in it. But we're good now. At that time, he had a but he followed G's orders. That's kind of how things ran in the hood. But there's the general, everyone listens to the man. He's the one who calls the shots. We go from there. They drag him to the staircase. And then at that point, it was one of the most messed up things I ever seen. He made Jay hold Kev. Well, G slapped the fuck out of him. He legit slapped the fuck out of him. And like the thing is, like, I don't know why. I think it's just because, like, my soul knows, because this asshole knew what would have happened to me. I was uncontrollably laughing. I was laughing. And he got slapped up. And it's like, even got to a point where Jay was like, yo, man, I don't like this. Because how badly G was, like, slapping up Kev. Jay was like, I don't like this anymore, man. This is messed up. They, like, beat the shit out of him, slapped him. I was there. I was just confirming the shit that nigga said. He tried to shut me up, so I had no problem with saying that. Part of those confirmations happened on the balcony. Well, one. There was one thing, he was talking shit how he was going to spin kick him. But Kev was like a bitch. He was not an athlete. He had no fighting training. I think he started doing general labor after we stopped talking. So maybe he might be a bit strong now, but back then he was a bitch. And G was like a fat kid like me, but he got skinny. When we were in the pool, he was like the skinny dude, all the girls liked him thing. But back when we were kids, that's why I didn't recognize him at first. He was a fat kid like me. We're the Fat Boys. Back then, I don't know if you guys know the Fat Boys, there was a rap group. That was us. But chilling in Horsley Hill Park. For those of you who know, you know. But yeah, after they beat him up, they brought him back into the apartment. There's a bunch of young youths. Because we were like 19. I was 19. Kev was like 21, 20. G was same age as me, and I think Jay was like 1 year younger than me. Yeah, I think he was 1 year younger than me. But then there was a bunch of guys who were like 16, just the young youths from the block, playing dominoes and stuff. So they didn't even give him ice or anything. And it was like, and they passed him a joint, and I was just like, Kev did not smoke weed. He didn't do anything, but they passed him a joint. It's like, you're gonna and he was like, G was like, yo, you told Tony you're getting some weed and drinks for him coming here. Where's that? They legit made him buy weed. Now, to be perfectly honest, the vibe was at this point very scary, and I did not feel safe. Especially with the fact that Jay said, wait till it's your turn, Tony. Now, G told me I'm good, but there's a few times where I actually tried to escape, and I did not know the landscape of this building, where every time I did, I waited until they left the apartment. I would go, and I was like, there was like 2 exits out of a block. Well, and there was like one, I think 2, they had alarms. I did not want to set the alarm off, as scared as I was. and I ended up walking out to areas where I ran into them. So I ended up walking back to the apartment because all these younger cats didn't really know what was going on. And then they made Kev play dominoes, and they kind of gave him a moment to feel like he was one of them. I was informed, like, I literally took 3 escape attempts and kept running into G and J at different points in the building in my escape attempts. But by the third one, I finally did it, and I just like immediately just ran. I should have left, but there was an A&W there, and there was not a lot of A&Ws in Scarborough back then, so I did buy a teen burger. And then I immediately jumped on the bus and went home. Yes, I'm a fat kid. Even when I feel like my life is in danger, which it wasn't, because like after that, the next day, there was spots where I would run into G, because he was never there. And G was like, see, no one laid a finger on you? And he told me I keep it 100 with him. He keeps it 100 with me, and I did keep it. I did confirm to all the things that people were saying this guy was saying, and he knows that I want to talk shit because me and him have history before everyone else. Because despite the 2 guys from my block, I may have knew them and they may live close to my areas. I technically was only really rolling with them 2 or 3 years ago. G, when we were kids, we chilled for several years, like at least 5, 6 years. I don't even remember. But as kids, we chilled way more times than all the times I chilled with those other guys. So my loyalty was obviously going to be to G, because first off, he's from the block. He's just one of the soldiers that moved on, went out and took over another block. In fact, he took over not even the block that we were on. He was on another block that he took over where he got all these people that were with at this point. And then the block that we were chilling at the pool hall just happened to be his 3rd block. That guy, he was a G, straight up G. One of my oldest, I guess you could say, homies. One of the people I could relate, like legit, you don't know how cold things were back then, how people were. I remember being, me and him rolling, this dude just like randomly going to coffee time, he would grab like one of those bagel sandwiches and he'd give me half. And then he'd grab me a juice too. And it's just like, people weren't doing that. It's just like, because we were from the same area. When I had cigarettes, he'd be the first one I'd pass one to. There's times where I'd come with like a few buckets of chickens. He was like the one person I would always hook up on top of the girl that I liked. It's just like, we came from the same area. That's why we had each other's backs. So when this scenario happened, he did protect me. And he told me he regrets me not staying because everyone beat the shit out of Kev at the end of the night. Like, everyone in that apartment. Even the girls, they fucking took turns. There was like, it's like this person kind of messed up. There was like an addict that actually the apartment was his and his dad used to pay for him. That's why everyone showed there. Even that person beat up Kev. And he was telling me I should have been there, blah, blah, blah. And then he was just like pointing out to me, I gotta trust him when he tells me people aren't my friends. Because he kind of knew I was naive. I was dumbass. I was still a dumbass. He was more hood than I was. And I will tell you that is the one person who did not ever set me up or screw me over. We may have had over like financial sale things, like selling stuff or whatever, may have been some discrepancies in business things, but as far as like anything else, no. He was one of the real ones. G to you, brother. You were one of the real ones. Yeah, that was actually one of the scariest moments. That whole point where I tried to escape the apartment 3 times. It was just like frustrating. Yeah, guys, I have no idea how frustrating that was, but I got out. Apparently, I was gonna be untouched. To be perfectly honest, I don't know how true that was, but I was damn sure making sure it happened before it did. Because I knew the second anyone else in that apartment knew what was going on, I would not have that freedom to be walking in and out like I was. So that's why I just pressing, because they're making chops, doing what they had to do. All right, peeps. Well, that's a little brief peek into my hood history from back in the day. Thank you so much for joining me in this edition, season premiere of Throwback Stories. Stay good, peeps, and keep it blitz.